Hello guys, today I bring you a new episode, and actually my objective for the future is actually make more stories or show you more stories about fleet engagements rather than solo. Solo, as hard as it is on Eve, it is actually a good escape, let's call it like that. So you don't have to work with anybody, you don't have to listen to anybody, you don't care about anybody besides yourself. I actually think that working as a team, as a small team, not as a blob, I actually think that working as a small team is extremely interesting, extremely challenging, and you will indeed be missing a great part on Eve if you don't follow the let's work as a team path. So, okay, because of that, I'd like to show you guys how fun it is to stir up the pot. So, okay, what is this stirring up the pot thingy anyway? Staring at the pot is going out solo, grief and harass whoever you can find, kill them, force them to form up juicy stuff, and when you're finally way over your head, Cryon comes for help, have your corp mates form a fleet, bait the Care Bear suit properly, and proceed by killing them all. At least this is the general concept. Okay, as for the first story, I was roaming around and I came to a system where the guys in local were actually on a mining op. I interrupted their mining operation and they reshipped. As for myself, I am on the regular Vexor and I have my ult in a augur ready to give me some remote reps in case I need it. Okay, I land on a couple of large bubbles and there's a Proteus inside, also an Ishtar on a ping. I believe I can take this on. Let's burn directly to the Proteus, let's gonna try to tackle him. And the Proteus decides to warp off. Well, okay, too bad he decided to go. Oh, okay, Ishtar coming. Of course, in order to warp from inside the bubble, the Proteus was interdictor nullified. This means it probably might not have the best PvP capabilities case he returns. Anyway, we're gonna try to catch the Ishtar. He has bouncers. Okay, bouncers, sentry guns. I need to approach as fast as possible and get below the tracking speed of those bouncers. Unfortunately, the Ishtar is still 50k away. Yeah, this is not gonna work out very well for me. Okay, another Proteus, or the same Proteus, can't recall. Yeah, off armor, and I'm not even nowhere near point range. I need to burn them back to the gate. I am right now burning back to the gate as fast as possible. Thankfully, I'm not aggressed. I actually had my drones out, but they did not catch anything. You will also notice that I did not start shooting or tracking disrupting the Ishtar. I also have to bring my backup in order to wrap me up a bit because this Ishtar is chewing me. I need to bail out. I need to rethink this. So okay, they actually had two different Proteus and an Ishtar and some small tackle. Yeah, I need to rethink this. Even though I have an ult with remote reps, those bouncers, if they start shooting at my augurer, they're gonna chew him down real fast, and the Proteuses too, even if they're like PvE Proteus, they will chew down the Vexor fast enough, so yeah. Okay, I just decided to press on. It is extremely hard on Eve to actually find people that are willing to engage you, and I would just have to find some sort of solution in order to split them up and force them to make some sort of mistake. I went back to the mining site where they were doing the mining op. I initially interrupted, and in order to force them to act, I decided to go and blow their cans. I just wanted to force them to do something. I know I'm being a douche and all that, and kill the griefing miners, blah blah blah, but let's see what develops. Besides, the miners I have Proteus and Ishtars, they're not really like in a disadvantage here, so. Alright, Ishtar on the ping, time to start aligning to the sun. Oh crap, oh damn, Proteus, warp off, warp off, warp off. I'm too close to the Proteuses, I need to just warp I cannot afford being tackled in a scenario they'll just overrun me, and the Proteuses tackled me. Yeah, I'm pretty much done. The Ishtar came down, Berserkers out, yeah, those hurt a lot. I webbed the Proteus, I scrummed the Proteus, I tried to slow boat away from the Proteus so that I can just warp off, but damage incoming is so great. I am slow boating away from the Proteus, but nowhere as much as I need, and poof, pod. So this phase 1 from the whole steering up the pod thingy ain't going all that nicely, is it? I was extremely pissed. But I was extremely pissed at myself. I was the one who made the dumbass mistake, the noob mistake, of not being properly aligned in the first place. I already knew they had Proteuses. I already knew that one was interdict or nullified. Him being a cloak, he was really not much of a surprise, was it? I was actually so pissed at my own poor performance that I decided to write in corpse something along the line of "Someone wake up!" Fortunately, a wonderful thing happened, and three guys logged in at the same time and decided to ask me, "Oh, really? Proteus to kill? Where's that?" This actually brings us to the phase 2 of the steering up the pod thingy. Phase 2 is keep them interested. They already have a fleet rounded up, I'm definitely way over my head here, and I'm on a pod. It's a bit hard to keep your foes interested while you're on a pod. Nobody chases a pod unless, well, they really want to kill you. Fortunately, they really wanted, and they decided to start probing me around. Now, actually, all the gates are bubbled, so I cannot really escape easily. But this was actually good. A great tactic to keep them interested is almost get caught, and emphasis on the almost. If you are caught, they kill you and they go out to log off, go back to their pauses, they disband. So tactic number 1 to keep them interested is almost get caught. Just emphasis on that almost part. Another option available to you is talking local. If they know that you are active, they are more prone to continue chasing you. Though the problem with talking in local is that conversations go sour and people start to resort to less friendly words very often and very easily. So, well, just don't be rude. It's very easy for either PvPers or Care Bears alike to just start smack talking and, well, not end up with the best vocabulary local, let's call it like that. Nevertheless, I actually decided to copy paste the chat I had with these guys. At the same time they were probing my pod, I let them probe my pod, they would bring in a tackler, I would just warp off before the tackler got me, and during all this time, my fleet is on its way. This finally brings us to phase 3, kill them all. I actually had absolutely no intervention in this part, this was fully accomplished by my corp mates. I was just in a pod lying around trying not to die. And what my mates did was basically just send in a bait hurricane through the gates and hold the fleet like one jump out, and the fleet was a couple harbingers. Um, so just play bait with the hurricane and see what would develop. Not long after, both Proteus arrive on the gate and start aggressing my corp mate on the hurricane. He calls in the two harbingers and they make a short work of the Proteuses. Actually, one was active tanked and the other was buffer tanked. The active tanked went down pretty fast and the buffer one did not resist all that much longer. So Even though I did die on a noob fashion and I failed to enter the kill mails of the Proteus, the whole stirring up the pot concept actually kind of worked. Um, and actually my corp mates, A1 Blyther and Captain Mac, took great advantage of a situation I had initially created. So let's keep staring at the pot, shall we? For the second part of this episode, I was flying a Coercer, good enough ship as any other to go solo, and warped the range on a given station. And not long after, a Hopebill decides to come and kill me. Of course, this went very bad for the Hopekill, and without any big problems, I managed to kill him before he got any sort of backup. Still on the same pocket, trying to grieve the same guys, I just jump through a gate in their pocket, burn away like 70k or so, and just wait a bit. They had already started up running a fleet, and they were gonna try to kill me. Soon enough, an Ishtar jumps through the gate and decides to burn at me. Well, I think you guys suspect already how this is going to end, right? The Ishtar was actually heavily faction fitted, and it was worth like 150 mil, so yeah. Um, but this is really not about the Coercer killing small tackle, although it is always funny. This is about stirring up the pot. After I killed the Hookbill and the Ishtar, those guys rounded up a decent fleet, decent enough to kill a Coercer. They rounded up something like Sleipnir, Vagabond, Talos, couple Caracals, two Drakes, a Ferox, and a good diversity of small tackle. Well, this inevitably takes us to Phase 2. Keep them interested. And we have already discussed this in the previous part of this episode. Basically, you have to show that you are active and you have to almost be caught to keep their interest. Of course, at the very same time I was asking for backup on comms, and this time we actually had a couple guys active and we ended up running a Vexor fleet. At this point I'd like to call your attention to the distance where the engagement was taking place. Engagement was taking place on G-O, up there in the left, and K-Q, that's my home base, at the right, it's like 20 jumps away. Now bringing a fleet 20 jumps away is a pain because lots of traffic and somebody's going to report you on intel, and the guys you want to kill are just probably gonna dock up once they see a fleet they cannot take on. Actually, in fact, I did not went through this route. I had probed a wormhole and went through the wormhole, exited on another nullsec area, and it was by pure chance relatively close. But the point is, this is something we've been doing a lot on A4D. It's an anti-boredom valve. You just like probe for half an hour and there's a good chance you're going to find a wormhole to some other place, nullsec or lowsec, to go roam. So my corpmates, instead of making 20 jumps and being spotted on intel on a busy pipe, just went through a wormhole, made 5 jumps and were ready to back me up. Okay, this finally brings us to Phase 3. Kill them all. I'm using a schematic here again, so apologize. I don't recall the system names, but basically, top right, my fleet was holding behind the gate, out of their intel as far as you knew, and in the bottom left, the ships I had mentioned were camping the gate from both sides. So we have 3 systems involved here. Also, I am pretty much stranded from my fleet, and I'm really no use for any sort of baiting. The Coercer is so low on HP and actually has no points, so it's really not an option using myself as bait. The guys from the Vexor fleet, my guys, somebody had the great idea of bringing a armor cyclone. Yes, an armor cyclone, you heard it well. So we were gonna use that as bait. Actually, the tactic I'm about to describe works pretty well, at least on Update for Destruction. We used it a lot of times with good success, and the concept is very simple. If we jump the whole fleet into local, people are gonna know that we are onto them and just gonna run. So the tactic is to make people chase the bait to your gate. We started this by warping the Cyclone 100 off the gate where those other guys were camping to try and kill my Coercer. So just warp the Cyclone 100 off. There was no bubbles, there was nothing, so it was good to warp. And he basically just aligned back to the gate he had come from. He basically just aligned back to the fleets where my corp mates with all the Vexors were waiting. So the only reason he warped to the enemy fleet at range was to get their attention. Pure and simple. So okay, after the Cyclone got the attention from their fleet, he warped back to our gate, but he warped to our gate at 20 kilometers away. And this is very important. If you warp at 0 on the gate, there's a good chance that enemy tacklers and even enemy DPS ships will jump through in order to try to get you. After all, if you are 0 on the gate, there's really not much point in aggressing. Somebody's just gonna jump out. By warping 20k off the gate, it prevents or reduces the chances of enemy tacklers jumping through the gate and see what's on the other side, because hey, he's 20 away from the gate, let's chase him instead. So okay, as expected, the part of the fleet arrives at the gate at 0, and we really don't want them to jump through. I mean, even if they jump we can kill 1 or 2, but we want to kill more actually. So there is still one more thing that our bait Cyclone can pull in order to prevent them from jumping in, and that is simply to red box, to aggress somebody random, doesn't really cares much. As long as the Cyclone red boxes, people will focus on the Cyclone and less on the possible fleet that might be on the other side of the gate. Things went pretty much as planned, and as soon as the Cyclone aggressed, everybody that had come to chase him focused on killing the Cyclone. This is the part where actually having an armor Cyclone paid out somewhat, because he was able to fit multiple points, and he got a hold on a Drake and a Ferox, I think, and everybody else from the opponent fleet just bailed out. Lots of small tacklers. Yes, when you're expecting to kill a Coercer and the Vexor fleet jumps into you with logistics, you don't want to stick around much, but this part is really just more a gang than probably a fight. But well, this is how it goes. The bait maneuver was actually fulfilled by Kogel. You can see him on the watch list taking occasional damage, but quite honestly, this tactic is known by most of our members. Any one of them can play bait, any one of them can pull the stunt, and in the end this turned out to be a bit disappointing, because I mean we had the Vagabond, Sleipnir, the Talos that were the real prizes, and in the end we only managed to grab 2 Drakes, a Ferox and a couple tackle. Well, I wanted more, of course, everybody wanted more. The true targets were the Sleipnir and the Vagabond, but oh well, I suppose you just can't have it all. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. We managed to mix some elements here, like going out solo, stir up the pot, get some backup from the fleet, a couple of fleet tactics, and also the usage of wormholes to surprise opponent, and I hopefully will get a lot more into wormholes in the future. But I catch you next time. See ya!